Hello, California. Oh no, you have COVID. That's not good. That's really not good. Fred. Hey, Pittsburgh. Hi. Hi, Freddie. Fred has decided to grace us with his presence. He's been hiding underneath the bed all night long, but he came out for y'all, so give it up for Fredo. He's a real trooper. He knows he's the star of the show, and he knows that he makes everyone's day a little bit brighter, so he's doing us all a public service. Hello, South Korea. It's a Tuesday live because Aaron isn't home, so I have the apartment to myself, which means, you know, I don't have to be angry tonight, hopefully. um, I also didn't do a live over the weekend because I've been trying to make plans with friends and get out of the house and try to feel normal again, whatever that may mean, and just getting some sun and steps in. So welcome to everyone who's here on Tuesday night. Thank you for joining me and Fred. I'm about to show you some cookies that I have been eating all day because this entire week is developing cookies for work. So I've eaten nothing but flour, sugar, butter, and nuts. I don't feel good. But it's a job, you know? A job is a job. It could be worse. It could be worse. Freddie, can I kiss you? I kissed you. I kissed you. Yeah. Can I kiss you again? Can I kiss you again? Haha. I kissed you again. That's 2 kisses in a row. Fred, do you want to kiss me back? Okay, that's a no. That's a no. I don't know how you say mamul, but I say mamul. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I say. It's okay if he doesn't kiss back though, because I get all the kisses that I need. Isn't that right, Fred? Isn't that right, Fred? Chin scritchies forever. Okay, while I'm scratching Fred here, I would like everyone to drop in the chat if you feel comfortable sharing something that you are proud of yourself today for doing or not doing. It is really hard to give ourselves credit sometimes for just getting through the day. There's a lot of steps that we don't recognize we're doing to survive. So give it up for yourselves. Yeah. All right, surviving COVID, paying your bills, standing up for yourself. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That is on brand. Therapy, salad, walking, dinner, going to therapy. Yup, 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 yup. Nice. Yeah, saving cats. Saving cats, Freddy. That's 4 kisses. Yeah, enjoying the people around you sometimes can be a feat. Keeping your business going, made dinner, went to work, getting through the day, petting your cats, not falling apart over a canceled job interview. Yeah, that shit is out of your control. You are not at fault. There is no one's fault but simply the chaos of the universe. So congratulations on not letting that destroy you. Taking the pup for a walk, doing a shirt pattern project. I'm proud of the fact that I thought about going live in order to bake cookies, and then I was like, fuck no, I'm not gonna work after hours. So yeah, drawing boundaries for myself, training myself to not fall into the same old patterns that lead to a lot of burnout that I don't recognize until it's too late. And I'm trying not to let things overwhelm me, even though they may feel overwhelming, even in an objective sense, not even in a subjective sense. I'm trying to allow my subjectivity to be even more forgiving than my objectivity, if that makes sense. It's probably got like a logical fallacy in there, just don't think too hard about it, you know? But yeah, training myself to enjoy Fred, enjoy being here, enjoy eating cookies, enjoy not doing work 24/7, enjoy not having my brain think about work 24/7. I am proud of myself for continuously working on my communication skills. I am continually working on not being quite so much a bitch sometimes, even though it is necessary to be a bitch many times in this world. And recognizing the fact that there are different kinds of bitches I need to be at different times of life. Learning how to use all the tools in my toolbox for different occasions. That's a skill. One step at a time, one thing at a time, and then you die. There's always that. There's always that, Freddie. Right? Yeah, 5 kisses. 5 kisses. Are you ever gonna get tired of these scratches? I've been going for like 6 minutes. My fingies are tired. But if I scratch you, will you let me kiss you more? All right, I'm gonna wash my hands, and we're gonna look at these cookies that I made. Look at the cookies that I made. It is such a good day, guys. Cookies and Fred, absolutely amazing day. And best of all, I didn't die. And I'm glad that I didn't die. Some days, you're not glad that you didn't die. Those are very bad days. These are mamul cookies. They're a Middle Eastern cookie. They are found across different countries, but, you know, if you go to, like, Little Morocco in Astoria, there's a place called Al Sham. They make really bomb cookies like these. But if you go to Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, all along 4th Avenue or 3rd Avenue, there's like a string of Middle Eastern bakeries, and they all make delicious mumbles. So, I'm actually going to taste one from each tray because they're all a little bit different, and I'm still recipe testing, so I need to decide which one is the best one. And yes, I have eaten 5 of these already, but it's my job. And a lot of people say you have a great job. I'm so jealous. And it's true, I can't complain. It's a pretty good job, but there are weeks where you're just like, I ate 70 cookies and I really don't want to do this shit anymore. I'm about 70% there. That one that I just ate was filled with date. This one that I'm trying is filled with pistachio. There you go. Which one do I want to cut? I want to cut you. I don't know what you are. but I'm gonna cut you. Oh, you're pistachio. All right. So this is made with semolina flour and all-purpose flour. It's a mix. There's a lot of butter in here. It's basically like a shortbread, but a little bit crunchy with texture. Mmm. Okay. Pretty good. I might like the first one more. Well, the second one's pretty good. People who have eaten mamouls before, do you like the outside cookie crust to be softer or crunchier? Because that's what I'm trying to decide right now. How sweet are they? They're not very sweet. They're not supposed to be super sweet. They're supposed to be like a tea cookie. All the people who are saying softer, you've eaten mamouls before? Or is this just your cookie preference? I need to know. Oh, interesting. Okay. I need to grab some water. Some water would be nice. Yeah, this is a mess. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. We're just gonna ignore the problem. It's not there. Okay. Okay. Now we have water. And Fred. Hi, Fred. Yes, I did make some with dates. However, the one that I made with dates, they kind of exploded a little. You can see there. It's because I didn't get date paste, which is a little bit stiffer than if you made your own date paste by, blending together medjool dates, which is what I did. So these kind of just like oozed out of the cookie a little bit. I'm not too pleased with them, aesthetically speaking, but I'm also not terribly disappointed. It's fine. Because after all, they just get covered with powdered sugar, so sometimes you can't even tell. But it is kind of imperfect. The filling is basically a little too moist, and during the bake, it just kind of oozes out. How did I do on the cookie to filling ratio? It could be a little more filling, I think. But for the uninitiated, I feel like having more of a cookie portion is easier to wrap for the assembly, you know? The swirly pattern is made with a mold. You buy these molds. It's basically like how you make mooncakes. You put the dough inside the mold, press it in so that the pattern is embossed on the dough, and then you slap it out. You have to like slam it on the counter. If you don't have the mold, you can try to make the pattern with a fork. The date one is really good. I put a little bit of cinnamon in there. It has a very kind of like almost fall sweet potato pie feel. So I do think I like the original batch more. This is tough. This is tough. Because the original batch's dough was a little harder to work with. It's less user-friendly. But I think I like the texture of the original dough more. It's a little crunchier. I like the crunch. There are no eggs in this dough, no. All right. I'm gonna check out what the difference between the two dough recipes are. First one has a little more butter, so that's why it tastes better, I guess. Second one also has more salt, which I'm not really tasting. Doesn't seem to make a difference to me. That's strange. You would think I can taste the salt, but I cannot. I don't think mamouls are supposed to get egg washed, are they? You tell me. The second batch also has more sugar. Surprising. Very surprising. There can be too much of a good thing, I guess. So I think tomorrow I'm gonna make a third dough where I keep the butter the same, but maybe I increase the semolina a little bit. Wait, but that doesn't make sense, does it? No, that really doesn't make sense. All right, no more work. I did my brain thoughts for tonight. Back to the live. What would you guys like to talk about? Did you guys all see the last vlog? Did you have thoughts? Do you have feedback for me? Sorry your angles aren't great tonight. There. Now you can see what I'm doing over there. My kitchen is a mess. I have too many things all over the place, everywhere. My life is kind of a mess. I'm okay with it though. I'm just shaking some sugar on top of this. Hopefully Erin can take these to work tomorrow so I don't have to eat the whole damn thing. Too many. Oh my god. All the cookies almost just fell. That would have been a disaster. I know that quite a few people were upset upon watching the last vlog because I shat on Cairo. And it made me think about what we can say and what we can't say, as with all things in life. Cairo was the setting that I was in when Mom died. Even before I learned of Mom's death, I did not like being in Cairo. I think I'm allowed to say that. Because if I'm not allowed to say I did not like being in Cairo, what then exactly am I allowed to say? Are we allowed to say things that sound negative about things that were experienced as negative things to us? Do we have to take one person's experience as truth and gospel and the end all be all? Do we always have to debate about what the right or wrong thing to do is? Can we allow some people to be wrong without attacking their whole personhood? Those are the questions that those comments made me think about. I mean, does it make a difference if I were to say I hated being in Xi'an, China in 2011? The air pollution was awful. I had extreme reverse culture shock being there as an Americanized Chinese person. Um, and I learned during that year teaching abroad in China that I could not trust people because there was seemingly always a hidden agenda. Doesn't mean that every part of Xi'an was horrible. The Muslim district had amazing food. Food to this day that I still think about. Does that mean that I hated Xi'an? Kinda. Yeah, I didn't like being there. Does that mean that I don't love any aspect of it? No, I did love some aspects of it. I have memories there, for better or for worse. Is it just that I can't critique a city that I'm not native, local, or ethnically oriented to? I don't know. I don't know what the morality there is. I don't know what the ethics there is. I don't know what the social mores there are. So that's just what I've been thinking about. I knew that when I did the voiceover for the video that some people were going to say shit about it because I'd said some things that did not paint Cairo in a gorgeous light. I wasn't completely positive about it. I noted that it was noisy and crowded and overwhelming, and it made me very, very tired, and it was exhausting to be in. I also noted that we didn't speak the language or know the culture, which is not a fault of the city, obviously. It's a fault of us as tourists and visitors that we didn't put in the work to learn the language. But that, of course, contributes to the feeling of complete, I wouldn't say alienation, but definitely intensified the outsider feeling, which is to be expected whenever you're traveling. But there was just a lot of Cairo that I didn't know how to physically complete. Like, as a person who loves to walk, Cairo was impossible to navigate on foot. It was like fucking scary all the time crossing the street. I've been in Hanoi where, you know, motorbikes go and you just try to like flow down the stream of traffic without getting hit. Cairo was like 10 times worse in terms of how frightening it was because it wasn't just motorbikes, it was like minivans, streams of cars, minibuses. And the only time I could cross was I saw locals crossing and I would just basically shadow them. But I don't... There's a part of me that does regret going to Cairo. I think that part of me mostly regrets it because of the circumstances that befell Mom and me when I was there. The fact that Mom died when I was there and I already wasn't having a great time compounded the feeling of regretting going. But when I, at this age, looking back in most of my life experiences, ask myself whether or not I regret something, I'm at that place in my life where I'm just like, no, I can't even begin to understand what it means to regret something that formulated who I am today. Like, I would not be here regretting it if I didn't do those things. Are there things that I've done and decided to do that have made me sad in the moment and later on in life? Yeah, totally. But I think you have to do these things in order to be who you are, and it is just how you live. We always think if we did something different, it would have turned out better. But how do you know what better is without having the worst part to compare it to? There was something that I said in the vlogs VO that kind of stayed with me. And I think it was something like, you can never be good enough. And you can always be bad. Or something like that. And I think that's true. There are a lot of us who blame ourselves on a daily basis for feeling that we were inadequate in one way or another. And it is really easy in the society that we live in to feel like we are never good enough for anything. I think being in that state is very exhausting, no? Oh yeah, and there were a couple of comments that were like, you filmed all these stray animals. As if I filmed it to show you the bad parts of Cairo. I actually filmed them because I love animals. And yeah, they're strays, but that's also their life. I filmed them because I found them adorable. I filmed them in their native settings. Can I rescue all of them? Absolutely fucking not. I can't even rescue one. My building doesn't actually accept pets. Fred is like a stowaway. Don't tell my landlord. Although I think he did agree because the adoption agency must have reached out to the landlord for permission, but I'm not really allowed to have pets. There was one comment that was like, how could you let these animals just suffer like that? And then it went on to describe in a mini essay format how many animals she saved. To which I say, I'm so glad you saved animals off the streets and gave them a good home where they have security and shelter and food. Not everyone has the mental and financial and physical resources to do that. I also feel like we need to take a step away from like the savior complex sometimes, because I don't actually know if these animals recognize what they live to be a state of distress. I think that is just what they're used to. They're born on the streets. They know how to live on the streets. And if you were to take them out, they might acclimate to indoors or they might hate it. I don't know. Sometimes I think, wow, am I just like imprisoning Fred? Like he's just a prisoner. He's sitting next to my hand mixer, taking a nap on a tiny ass chair that he's barely small enough for. And I have 490 square feet for him for the rest of his life because he's not allowed outdoors. Like, is this a form of animal abuse? One could say that if someone decided to just pick me up and put me in an apartment and never let me out, that would be a human rights violation. And I'm not really trying to justify anything. I'm more just discussing it. I guess it is justification, but it's for my own mental processes. I am trying to understand where people are coming from, but I'm also trying to give myself the space to just do whatever the fuck I want, you know? Like, I cannot be here to do things for everyone else all the time because those demands will never end. I am even trying hard to train myself to end my own demands because I demand too much of myself. Because maybe of my upbringing or my cultural background or my feelings of inadequacy caused by being an immigrant at a young age. Who the fuck knows, right? Like, that's what therapy's for if you can afford it. But just trying to understand where these comments are coming from and trying to understand how I can process them without ignoring them, because ignoring things will only give them strength to continue existing. by default of ignoring them, you are acknowledging their presence, is a paradox. So I must acknowledge them. I must give them my due diligence of attention so that I can process it and let it go. And kind of give myself as much closure as I can with those concerns, so that I am equipped to process them again when they do resurface again, because they will, because life is a rerun. I don't feel like the animals were dangerous to me. And I think this is where a lot of comments come from. They come from a place of projecting onto me things that I didn't feel, thoughts that I didn't think, but things that the viewer felt and thoughts that the viewer thought onto me. And I mean, I'm not going to talk about fairness because the world isn't fair, but I'm just going to say that, like, I saw what I saw, I filmed what I filmed, I gave myself as much of an edit as I needed to have a record of what I saw in Cairo, have a record of my experiences before Mom died, and just trying to process my own feelings that are actually my feelings. And if my feelings end up hurting other people, I can own that. I may even apologize for hurting people's feelings if I do feel like, yeah, maybe I did injure someone else with my selfishness, if you will. But it's all debatable, isn't it? Morality is gray. This part doesn't make posting on YouTube difficult. If you have a strong enough sense of your own desires, and I think I do, especially for these videos, my purpose is to have closure on two levels. The first level of closure is that I went to Cairo because Aaron said, hey, let's go take a vacation because it's been almost 2 years of this and we can go somewhere now because borders are opening and we're vaccinated and all of that. And I said, okay, let's go. And he happened to choose Cairo because he wanted to go on those flights. So I went. Mom was not very happy about my choice, but I went because Mom didn't agree with a lot of my life choices when she was alive, and I still did them, including going to China, where I met Aaron, who, for better or for worse, has been a very formative presence in my life. And if I haven't spent the last 11 years with him, it's a very long time, I would be a very different person. But the first closure is doing what I set out to do, which is to make these travel vlogs. I brought my camera along, I recorded everything, I got the footage, and it's been sitting on Aaron's computer for close to a year now. And I want to finish what I wanted to start. So that's one closure. And the second closure is obviously to be able to speak out loud these thoughts that just keep swirling in my brain about Mom. I can't speak them totally and completely. But I can speak some. And speaking some is the hardest part. Because once you share even just the beginning of a little bit, it really does facilitate you to share more later on in the future. And I do feel like this is something that I need to speak out in order to not hold in. Yeah, all moms do want their kids to be safe. But I always told my mom, if you wanted me to be safe, you shouldn't have given birth to me, right? Because to give birth to someone is to condemn them to death. The only way you can die is if you live. And the only way to live is to know that you will die. And if you deny living, you deny death, and vice versa. So I don't deny death. And by acknowledging death, I think that is the most life-affirming thing I can do for myself. Definitely in my adolescence and even into my early adulthood, I did have fights with mom where I just, I said that teenager thing where I'm like, well, I didn't ask to be born. And it's true, I didn't. And I used to think that, like, shit, it would have been a lot less painful if I never was born, because then I don't have to go through all this random crap. But again, at my age, do I regret any part of my life? I can't anymore. I am quite possibly existentially, literally unable to regret anything, because I, as me, standing here before you, virtually, am composed of all these things that I cannot regret. So for better or for worse, mom gave birth to me and I am here. I did not know that having your mom die would make you grow up so fast. And that's not to say I'm finished growing, obviously. You never are. But yeah. There are a lot of ugly things in life. I don't think it serves us to try to paint them over with rainbows and or ignore them. If you look at the comments section on our now demonetized video where I recount all the hours I spent in the ER with grandma the day she fell and ripped her arm skin open. Caretaker burnout tales and just the endless amounts of frustration and the pain of dealing with the decline of your loved ones mentally, physically, emotionally, familial ties, unending amounts of responsibility that you feel like you have to shoulder on. All of these things that feel like shackles, dead weight. recurring events and relationships that make you feel like you're continuously being buried alive every day? What is there to do except talk about it? Because these are things that we cannot really escape, right? Like, we can't just toss our grandmas into a ravine. We deal with it because as a society, we've said it's unacceptable to just get rid of people and kill them when they're of no use to us. Even though actually a part of our society does say and do and believe that, if not completely outrightly. So that's food for thought too. But what we choose to find acceptable is never a constant. So it's kind of enlightening to think about what should be acceptable to you that might not be acceptable to other people. And whether or not there is a point at which you should diverge from the pack and do what works for you. I know Mom knew I loved her. I just wish I could have loved her the way she wanted to be loved. But that's kind of always the problem in all relationships. Just because you care about a person doesn't mean you know how to love them in the way that they want to be loved. And it also doesn't mean that even if you know how they want to be loved, that you are able to provide that love in that format to them. And yes, learning how to communicate better can definitely help facilitate that gap to close a little bit. But sometimes it can be just a little bit unbridgeable if we cling to our egos as a life raft. Sometimes the ego is what sinks us further into the water. Sometimes the ego is a dead weight. And so when you are drowning and you actually decide that you want to stay alive and survive, it may be worth it in that moment to ask yourself if you are actually doing yourself a favor by holding on to your ego. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And if you're thinking, well, if I let go of my ego, then don't I let go of myself? Yes and no. I bet you can remember times when you've been very mean to yourself and you've been your own worst enemy. It could serve you to let go of that self that hurts you. It does make me think of I don't know many ex-convicts, but, I do feel like there are these anecdotes of people who have been to jail and they can't seem to survive outside of the jail, so they keep committing small enough crimes to be sent back to jail because jail is where it's comfortable. At least if it's not comfortable, it is a place where they know how to survive. And I feel like in a lot of ways, the ego is a jail. It is a comfortable place where we know how to survive. But it is still a jail, nonetheless. But freedom can be scary. It is very hard to let go of the ego, though. But if you look at kids, like, they can flip a switch. Crying one moment, laughing the next. Don't remember shit. Learn from kids. Dude, if I went to buy all these mumbles, this would cost me like $60. How do I not have any containers anymore? I don't get it. Where did all my containers go? Yeah, my plant needs watering. I know, guys. I know. Ay, ay, ay. This is one of Mom's honey jars. I found it at her house. I ripped the label off. It's awesome. Guys, do you reuse your parchment papers? Because I do. I usually wipe it clean if it's oily with a paper towel. And then I like to store it in the freezer if I'm not using it again that day. Because, you know, there's already oils on it, so it will turn rancid. But if you freeze it, it'll keep a little longer. Hello, Florida. I think I'm determined to never, ever, ever go to Disneyland or Disney World in my life. Is that okay? I think that's okay. Did you know that you can also lightly rinse parchment if you have powdered sugar on it, say? Because parchment paper is actually embedded with silicone, which is what makes it non-stick. The more you know. cookie development continues with chocolate digestives. Okay, Freddie, do you want some treat water? Would you like some treat water, Freddie? So yes, I find that silicone pads enable spread a lot more. So if you like your cookies to be like thinner, you can use silicone mats. But if you don't want your cookies to spread, stick with parchment. I need to eat some vegetable and fruit, guys. This is not a balanced diet right now. I still have some of my ratatouille. I don't want to cook, so let's just go with leftovers. I'm gonna wash a carrot. I'm gonna eat my ratatouille leftovers. Okay, first of all, I love chocolate digestives. One of my favorite cookies ever. Yeah, if you guys Google me, you can find all of this information on LinkedIn because we have the internet and there's probably not a thing you don't know about me if you look hard enough. I went to Swarthmore College. I majored in English literature. I minored in educational studies and religion. Is that what you thought I would be majoring in? It's not a specific religion, it's just a religion degree. The religion department at Swarthmore felt a lot like what I wanted to learn from philosophy. And philosophy courses, at least the two that I took, were just not at all what I wanted. It was just too dead. Yeah, digestives are kind of like heartier, fattier graham crackers. They have a lot more oil content in them than graham crackers. Graham crackers can be quite dry. Digestives are dry and crumbly too, but they have a sort of like whole grain shortbreadiness to them. And I just love them to death. And then you add chocolate, my God. My God. I might marry a person who gives me a lifetime supply of chocolate digestives. So, just saying, just putting it out there. I do use my carrot as a utensil, do you not? Home ovens only go to like 550 max Fahrenheit. I mean, yes, you should be careful who you marry, but you should also be careful who you make friends with, who you work for. You should also be careful what you eat. You can die at any time. You should be careful which street you cross and which plane you go onto. You just don't know. The same way you don't know if your plane's gonna crash, you also don't know if your significant other is gonna turn out to be a psychopath. You just don't know sometimes. And it's not your fault. You're just living. Shit happens. Whoa. I didn't know electric stovetops got that hot. Wow. I don't think my grandma can chew the digestives. She also hates sweet stuff, so she would not like the chocolate. This is ratatouille leftover. Freddie, come here. He had his treat water, so he doesn't care about me anymore. Whatever. I don't care about you either, love of my life. It is 10 p.m. where I'm at. All right. I didn't take my vitamins. You're right. Thank you. What would I do without you? It's like a very mushy ratatouille. It's quite delicious. I put 8 cloves of garlic in this recipe. Hi, Malaysia. What is your favorite Malaysian dish? And do you go to Papa Rich? And if you do, what's your go-to order at Papa Rich? You know I've never watched Ratatouille. I don't know what goes on in that movie. Besides the fact that there's a mouse who cooks, and the food reviewer has a meltdown over the dish because it reminded him of his childhood. Is that basically the whole movie? Sorry, spoiler alert. I'm sorry, it's a rat. They're the same to me though. Name your favorite animated movie. Go. Yes, you may only choose one. Go. Nasi lemak is so good because you have like 6 different dishes in one. Rakukuni. Ooh, lots of good ones. Okay, okay. Spirited Away is the right answer. I feel like for me, Up is pretty good too, but Spirited Away is just so beautiful and masterfully done, and it covers so many existential themes. It's just like absolutely incredible, and the soundtrack fits so well. Liz, you have to Google it. What's the point of asking us? You have Google. The whole theme of like identity just smacks you in the face, but graciously so. For those of you who have seen Spirited Away, who is your favorite character in the movie? I've never heard of Mind Game. Yeah, Spirited Away can be for kids. It might be a little bit scary for some kids. It doesn't really have like sexy things in it, if that's what you're worried about. Fun fact, I had a huge crush on Haku in middle school. I could not get over Haku. He was just so beautiful. So he was my middle school love. Was an animated character. My favorite character is probably No Face. How can you not like No Face? He has such a character arc. His plot line is insane. And I think he's the only character who really didn't make progress if you look at it linearly, but he made so much progress throughout the entire narrative arc. There's not really, I mean, there are scenes where characters are screaming, so I guess it is kind of violent, but I saw it in 8th grade and I wasn't like terrified, so if that helps. I agree, Emperor's New Groove surpassed all of my expectations, but still doesn't touch Spirited Away on that philosophical level. Now I finally need a utensil because my carrot is no longer long enough. Wow, okay. Jenny and Anxious Gary, I guess you guys are biffles. I am still at Delish. How much longer? TBD. What? I am eating it cold. Short carrots is very much a personal problem, yes. Leftover ratatouille. Everybody's interested in what's in this jar. It's just bits of bell pepper and eggplant and zucchini with lots of garlic and tomato. Are there any other topics you want me to rant about? Because as soon as I finish eating my snack, I'm gonna go smoke and peace out. I really did want to smoke before I went live, but then I was like, I will completely melt into the floor as soon as I smoke. So I decided not to show you that side of myself today, but maybe one day. I don't read books, but the last book that I finished and I really liked was Trick Mirror. It has an orange cover. It's a collection of essays. I too look forward to Floor Stream, where I will completely get demonetized for everything. That'll be the end of this channel. Which other books do you guys recommend? Let me see. Yeah, no, I don't know why I just walked over to my bookshelf where I don't read any of the books. I would have to like think back to my college days when I actually did read. I mean, I really liked Faulkner. The Sound and the Fury is absolutely insane to get through because you have no idea what's happening for half of the book, and then you're like, oh, I might be understanding something for the next quarter of the book, and then you're like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? I must have missed like 80,000 important things. And then by the time you finish the book, you're like, I think I know what happened, but it's all very fucked up. That was my favorite book for several years. I will end my snacking with blue cheese. The king of cheese. Kurt Vonnegut is really good. My favorite from him is Cat's Cradle. I remember the first time I read Cat's Cradle, how it blew my mind. I was like, I've never seen anyone else write like this before. I personally could not stand War and Peace. I was assigned to read it for a class, never fucking finished it. It is very boring to me. I'm sorry, I don't like most of the Russian writers. I do enjoy Dostoevsky. He does write pretty epically long things like Brothers Karamazov. But I think I really liked The Underground Man, or sorry, Notes from the Underground, especially when I was still in my angst phase. That was pretty good. Listen, if I could sell a show where I'm just on stage eating, I would do it. Maybe people can bring me food. People who manufacture glass cutting boards should be condemned. I don't know what condemnation should befall them, but they should be condemned. Glass cutting boards should not exist. First of all, have you ever tried cutting on a glass cutting board? It just feels wrong. Like, your hand is uncertain why your brain is commanding it to do it. And your knife is like, I am not an ice skate blade. And everything in the world just feels wrong when you're cutting on glass. Just don't do it. I will be a wooden cutting board person my entire life. I don't really like any other materials. In restaurants, we used to use this like very weird rubberized material. It used to be really bad about soaking up smells. That's why I tend to always smell my cutting board sometimes, because I used to work pastry, and my God, when I forgot to smell the board and made all of my pastry prep on it, cutting up all the fruit, and then discovered later that it was like just filled with onions and garlic smells. Ugh. The regret. Yes, my plant is a little bit sad. I know, guys. I'll water it. Fine. There. I hope you're happy. Freddie? Do you want to say goodbye to the good people? Titanium cutting board sounds like it's only there for one purpose, and that's to murder all of your knives to death. Does Freddie smoke? I don't know. Freddie, do you smoke? Do you smoke? Hey. Hey. Freddie, do you want another bath soon? You feel a little bit oily. You feel a little bit oily. Have a good night, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your week. And remember, we will all die, so nothing matters. Let that free you.